Adobe Live. I'm Jack Watson, UI UX designer, illustrator, animator, and donut connoisseur. Although I guess today I'm a punchki connoisseur. In this stream, I'll be covering Illustrator pro tips. We'll be preparing some die-cut stickers for print. I've got a few examples here, actually, on my desk of some stickers that I've made. Either ones that I've made using my Cricut cutter and my printer at home, or ones I've sent off to the printer. This is more of a die-cut style sticker. We're going to be going over some how you can set up your files for print, as well as setting up your files for some of these specialty effects, like this spot metallic effect. So first, I want to go over some print basics to get you just up to speed. When you create a new file in Illustrator, let's get over there, and you go to the print preset, it's going to set some things up for you. I like to make a little bit of modifications here. I like to set it in the units I'm going to be working in. It's usually inches since I'm in the US, and since we're working on stickers, we want to set them to be inches. Certainly not feet, although I guess if you're doing like vinyl cut kind of stickers, it could be feet. So I'm going to set it to inches, and then down here you can set your bleed. The bleed is an extension of your design beyond the trim or the cut line, so where your design gets cut. And it's just there to ensure that your design prints edge to edge. So if the paper moves at all while it's being trimmed, you won't get a white edge or a weird gap. Usually I set this to around a quarter of an inch. You can actually type right in Illustrator, quarter inch, 1/4, and it'll do the math for you if you didn't know that. And you don't need that much. I don't think I've ever gone much higher than this. In fact, I've usually gone lower than this. And then also, the print preset will set your color mode for you to CMYK, which is the color gamut for print. Your raster effects, so and if you place any raster artwork or you use any raster effects in Illustrator to 300 ppi. And then this is another your first pro tip, preview mode here. You can set it right from the beginning to be overprint, so it'll display as if, if you've got any overprinting applied to any of your colors. That's only important if you're going to be working with a technique like screen printing or reso printing. Otherwise, you can just leave it off. Default is fine. But if you are going to work with those, you're going to want to have that on. And then once we create a document, you can see our artboard in this case is our trim line, and our bleed is this red line here. And when we go to save this as a PDF, save it on my computer, save it to my desktop, we'll save a PDF here. In the PDF export, you're likely going to be exporting out a PDF if you're sending it to a printer, especially if you're going to be doing any specialty printing like die-cut stickers or specialty effects. And we should go in here, we'll set it to high quality print. And the only other thing you're going to want to do if you're printing a document that has a bleed is you're going to want to turn on trim marks under marks and bleed. And that's going to give you little crosshairs that indicate to the printer where to trim with your bleed kind of beyond that. So I'm going to do a little demo here to show you what that looks like. It's easier to see if you got something in the background. I'm just going to add a color to this real quick. We'll go to File, Save As. We're going to save a PDF out of this to our desktop, and making sure we've got our high quality print. Turn on our trim marks. You can turn all of these on. The only other one that I really turn on is the registration mark sometimes. Oh, and then you want to use your document bleed settings so that keeps that trim. The registration marks are meant for like aligning your print, again for like slippage, and that's more of a thing if you've got like oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the term. Offset printing. If you got offset printing, we've got it's running through like multiple colors, you're going to want to use add registration marks, or you're doing screen printing. So if I save this out, and I'll leave registration marks on so I can show you, we're just going to open this up real quick in Acrobat. You can see here's my trim, is where these two lines meet. If you draw an imaginary line down and across, and anything outside, this is in the bleed, is going to get trimmed off, so it's going to get cut. So you don't need to worry about the registration marks and these crop marks actually showing up, because it's all going to get trimmed anyways. The trim size is where these meet, so just a little tip for you. Okay, so back over here, let's take a look at our file, and let's talk a little bit about that. I mentioned offset printing and digital printing. Now, most of the time, I would say probably 100% of the time, your stickers are going to be printed using digital printing. It's generally used for smaller runs, and it's similar to your home printer. So there's no separate plates or rollers for each ink color. Instead, the print head deposits ink via ink cartridges. So if you've ever watched your home printer, it kind of runs print lines across as it moves down your page, so there's no need for those registration lines because it's kind of doing all the work up front. Offset printing, and this is going to be similar again to screen printing where you kind of run each color. That's where you're going to use registration lines. You can see here that each color has a separate set of rollers and a separate set of plates. So I can kind of show you. It's pretty cool. I can show you what this looks like in Illustrator. If we go to Window, Separations Preview, I'm going to turn this on so you can see. And if we hide all of these, because right now I have them all active, and we just turn them on one by one, this is what a cyan plate would look like. So this would be what gets etched onto that cyan plate roller, and then it gets run through the cyan ink. So we can see what each of the color breakdowns look like for our design. And then when they all come together at the end, we get our final kind of illustration. So just a little tip for you if you're ever curious kind of how that all works. Now, we don't have the benefits of using these built-in options, the built-in bleed and the built-in artboard for the trim line, right? When we're making die-cut stickers, because we can't make artboards that match our artwork as the trim. Unfortunately, I can't make a donut-shaped artboard. So sad. So how do we indicate to the printer how we want our sticker to be cut? Well, I've got a few sticker designs I've already kind of put together for Paczki Day. It's Paczki Day. I mentioned being a Paczki connoisseur earlier, but you may know today as, I gotta turn off my separations preview, hold on. It's Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday. You may know it as Pancake Day if you're in the UK. Whatever you call it. In Ohio, where I am, Paczkis are a big deal for Mardi Gras. They're kind of like donuts, but slightly different. They're Polish in origin. Let me know if you in the chat if you've had a Paczki before, either on YouTube or Behance, or king cake or pancakes. Let me know what your kind of Mardi Gras tradition is. We've got a bunch of folks joining on YouTube and on Behance. Penny says, donut artboard. Yeah, I agree with that. And we've got AI Tales joining from Orlando. Welcome in, everybody. So to get started, I need to kind of do a couple of things first. So let's say we want to make this Paczki Day donut into a design. And right now, it's a beautiful design, but it's a nightmare for the printer. There's live type, especially with this one up here. There's live type on a path. I made a little scatter brush. There's like multiple brushes going on in the version with the beads. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And if you have any of that stuff in your file, you're gonna want to expand all of it. It doesn't happen often, but you don't ever want to be in the situation where you send a design off to the printer and for some reason the fonts unintentionally default. So our beautiful Chutzpah Adobe font here, let me find the name for you, Redondo Avenue, defaults out for something else and we lose it and it doesn't look at all the same, and now we've printed 100 of these stickers and our client's mad, right? So you want to make sure you expand all of that. The same with the brushes. Now in this case it's not a big deal because it's just a scatter brush to create the powdered sugar effect, but if you send something off to the printer and like something happens with the brush and it changes the position of things, your clients can be pretty mad. So if you want to try to alleviate that by expanding everything, fonts, brushes, and effects. So I am going to click on this and I'm going to make a copy because this is a destructive process. So I'm going to hit Command C. I'm going to move it over to my artboard here. I've got just an 8.5 by 11 artboard over here to kind of help me. I want to put this on like a separate page so that when I export it as a PDF you can see what's going on. So we've got our design here. I'm just going to go up and do some cleanup by going to Object, Expand Appearance, and that's going to expand my brush out for me. It would also expand any effects out for you. So if you had raster effects, when you do that it's going to expand and create like a clipping mask with some raster art inside of it. If you have Illustrator SVG effects, it's going to create like these paths like it did for our brush here. Now our brush is, instead of being a brush, it's made out of individual filled objects, right? Alright, and then we want to do the same thing for our text. We're going to go up to Object and we're going to outline our text. Now we've just got shapes. Ideally this is where you want to be, straightforward paths, just outlined shapes. We've got some paths with a stroke applied, that's fine. Apuvera says, the best I have made are coconut banana fritters. Yum. The Paczki on Wikipedia looks yummy. I love that everybody's looking up Paczkis. I actually have some here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to open the box and show you, but they're basically like a donut, but they've got powdered sugar on top, and they're usually filled with tasty things. So now we've got our file set up. how we need it to be, we're gonna make a copy of this and make a silhouette. And that silhouette is gonna make our die cut. So if we look at our sticker here, this has a shape around it that matches the shape of my sticker. So I'm gonna copy and paste my sticker to start with, and then we're gonna use an offset path to create the outline here. And this is kind of to your liking. You can be larger or smaller depending on how you want to make it, but I would recommend at least like 1/8 of an inch to ensure that your design doesn't unintentionally get trimmed off. So we're gonna start by making a copy, Command C and Command F. Now I'm just gonna copy in front, and I'm going to go over to my Pathfinder window, which I don't actually see, so let's go open that. And I'm just going to unite these, Pathfinder unite. So now I've got a silhouette, basically, of my design. It's a single shape, right? Because we outlined everything, that also kind of helped us with this stuff. Having everything outlined, having the text outlined, all the effects, easy to make a shape like that. And I'm just going to put it behind. I'm putting it behind because that's going to make it a little bit easier for us to see what it's going to look like with this next step. And I'll change the color too so it's easier to see. So we'll make it like something really bright so you can see it. Green. Okay. And I'm going to go to Object Path. We're going to use Offset Path. Now, there is an Offset Path effect. I wouldn't recommend it for this because you're going to have to go and expand that effect, because really what you want are these paths. You want the offset path to create those paths for you. And if you use the effect, it's going to kind of apply it to your original shape. It's great for when you want to do things sort of non-destructively, but in this case we want to have those paths. So, and you can, like I said, you can increase this. This is, what do I got here, 1/8 of an inch already? Yeah, 1.125 inch. Again, I'm just typing in 1/8, 1/8, and hitting tab, and it's going to apply that for me. So I don't even have to do math. You can also increase it with the up and down arrows here. If you want to. Again, this is kind of up to you. I want to show you something about this one in particular though, so we're going to keep it at 1/8 for now. I'm going to hit OK. And then we need to merge all these shapes so they're not all, again, we want to have like a singular shape. Now, there's a little bit of an issue with this one. When you're printing stickers out, you don't want to have these little gaps, because those are going to be cut out of your stickers. Now, large gaps, if they're intentional, like if you have like a letter and you wanted to cut the letter out, you can leave it in that case. But for things like this, when it's not really intentional, it's just kind of how the offset path worked, you're going to want to release your compound path, and I'm just going to do another unite. And that's going to give me my kind of single final shape here. I want it to not have any of those little gaps. Really, partially because they're difficult, and oftentimes printers will ask you to change it anyways because they're so small it's difficult to cut. But also, if you've ever had a sticker that's got like a lot of really sharp or like small corners and you've tried to like peel it and it's like torn, you know, you don't want that to be the experience of the person that gets your sticker. So we want to kind of make that, get rid of those little pieces and parts. And honestly, I would probably also go in here and like round some of these out to alleviate the same problem. You know, and you can do that and it's fine because that's going to be our trim line. It doesn't have to match your sticker exactly. You can do that. You can kind of modify it a little bit. It doesn't have to be exactly what you create with the offset path, right? Okay, so at this point, this is actually our trim. So this is where our design is going to get cut to. And I can change the color. Maybe we'll go with like a light pink. That looks nice, right? So I want to actually size the sticker now to ensure that it's the size that it's going to be when it prints and when it's trimmed. So typically stickers are anywhere from like 1 inch, 1 by 1, all the way up to like 3 by 3 inches at the larger end. I mean, these are kind of like a mix. As long as it's like 3 inches on one side by like a smaller size, or it's like, you know, 1 inch tall and it can be like 3 inches wide. You just want to keep it kind of like in that range because that's generally the options that you're going to get when you're getting die cut stickers printed from a printer. They're going to give you like, does your design fit into a 3 by 3 or does it fit more into like a 1 by 1 or a 2 by 2 kind of a size? So I'm going to select all of this, and either from the transform options here or in the transform panel, I'm just going to type in 3. So now our sticker is 3 by 3. It's not exactly 3 by 3, it's 3 by 2.9 or whatever, but that's going to be fine. And now that we've got our sticker sized, we've got our trim line established, we're going to go to Object, and we're going to do another offset path, and this one's going to be our bleed. So our first one here, this is just our trim line, and let's actually Let's actually select this and make this like have a stroke so you can see it. I'm gonna go to Object, Path, Offset Path. And this time I'm gonna use for sure a 1/8 inch bleed on this. So you don't need a big bleed for stickers because they are so small. The bleed is, like I said, just there to ensure that nothing gets kind of cut off. You really don't need any more than that, just for the kind of size that a sticker is. So a 1/8 inch bleed is perfectly fine for this, and that's generally what you're going to use. And this is going to be like our fill color, so we can pull it back down. Right, so like this is the background of our sticker, this outline, this white outline. And now we've got our path here that we added with the offset path for our trim line. And we need to tell the printer that this is going to be our trim line. So we're going to go in here and we're going to go to make this a smaller stroke. I'm going to make this like 0.5. Where is my stroke panel? There we go. So now it's a little bit smaller. And generally speaking, these are going to be either like 100% cyan, 100% magenta, or key black, which is 100% K. So if I double click into the color picker, I can change this to be, we'll do like 100% cyan because it's right in front of me. So there's our cut line. And we need to make this a spot color. And so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add a new color to my swatches, a new swatch, and I'm going to pick spot color. And I'm going to name this cut line, so it's very clear that this is going to be my cut line for my sticker. And you can see that spot colors have a little dot in the corner, indicating that they're a spot, versus our global swatches have this kind of blank triangle over in the corner there. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, so now that we've got that all kind of set up, I want to put that cut line on a separate layer from my art. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to show you some of the example stickers that I've done that I pulled in here to give you kind of the rundown. So on all of these, you can see I've got a number of layers kind of in my file. We've got an artwork layer, we've got a cut line, and then I've also got a spot metallic. And my cut lines for all of the stickers that I've done in the past are all on their own layer. So everything's on a separate layer. And you want to put that at the top of your layer stack. And that's going to be where your line gets trimmed. So just put your cut line on the separate layer, have your artwork on its own layer named kind of artwork. And then once we get into spot metallic here in a second, that's going to be on a separate layer as well. So going back over here, I'm going to just grab all of this, make sure it's on my artwork layer. I'm going to grab my cut line here. I'm going to make sure it's on my cut line layer. And there we go. It's pretty much technically ready to print. But I do want to kind of go back a bit and backtrack back to color, since I know this is going to come up. So I went ahead and made this design prior on my personal streams. We worked on this donut design. And whenever I start a design, I always work on, I like set up the colors first. So that's just my process. But either way, however you do it, make sure when you're picking colors that they fall within the CMYK color gamut. If you've ever printed something and it's come back and the colors have been like not quite right, or they've been off, they don't look the same as how they looked in Illustrator, this is probably why, especially if you worked in a RGB document instead of CMYK. So if I just kind of pull in here, I'm going to go into like, we'll go into like the purples because those are notoriously difficult to reproduce. And you might say, that doesn't match my color. Like, I dragged it to this color. Right, because Illustrator is helping you out here a little bit. Because we've got a CMYK color document, it's saying, I know you picked that color, but this is actually how it's going to print. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can fix that. Illustrator is going to give you this handy out of gamut warning that's going to let you kind of color correct that color. And you can see, if I drag it around, I can drag it back out of the color gamut warning, so now it's actually going to work for us. Just kind of something to keep in mind when you're setting up your colors. If you can go ahead and make sure that they're all kind of within the CMYK color gamut, you won't have to risk anything kind of not printing correctly when you go to print it out. So that's my little spiel on color. Alright, so let's go back to our design here, and I want to talk a little bit about, oh yeah, Penny's got a great analogy. RGB is like Christmas lights, super bright and brilliant in person, but dull in photo, yeah. That's a good way to think of it. I like that, Penny. So the last thing I want to talk about is specialty effects. Like I said, I have a couple here from ones that I've done in the past. In particular, this Anchors Away design, which has that nice area cut out for it that shows the metallic, right? We kind of grab one of these stickers again. This design here, you'll notice it's not black. It's actually got like a mirror finish, right, or a metallic on the inside. And the rest of the design is regular, full color. And you're like, this doesn't look like it, right? So if we hide our spot metallic, this is what the design should look like, or, you know, printed with just ink, right? If you want to add specialty effects, you're going to want to do the same thing that you do with your cut line. You're going to create a separate spot color. So I've got a spot black over here. Nope, that's not it. Gosh, I have too many colors in this file now. Okay. I double clicked on my spot metallic that I have applied to this, and you can see I've named it spot metallic, right? And then the other thing that I've done is, if we take a look at this, all of these are cut to match and fit the shape perfectly. So you can use the shape builder, or you can use the Pathfinder to kind of cut out the shapes so that that ink gets applied precisely into the spot here where we want to have those. Now, sometimes you'll actually do a little bit of an offset, especially if you're working with screen printing. You'll have to do a little bit of offset to ensure that of any like slippage. But generally speaking, you can just have them be, you know, perfectly cut out like this, and they'll print with the spot. Metallics, I've done this, every printer I've worked with uses this setup for things like emboss and deboss, metallics. I've even used a spot color to strip out teacher annotations on student versus teacher editions of textbooks. So we did the teacher annotations in a spot color, so that when they ran the book, they didn't have to have like two separate files. They just stripped out the annotation spot color on press, which is a really cool kind of way to handle that. So yeah, if we wanted to add a spot gloss to our donuts, I think that would look really cool. Over our letters here, we've got these kind of like glossy highlights on our letters. I can go ahead and I can grab those letters. I'll go find them in my layer stack using the little magnifier. There we go. Oop, that's not it. I think I had the wrong thing selected. Make sure we get the stroke. There we go. So now we've got our gloss group. Make sure you organize your layers. It'll help you out in the long run. Oh, and I put this on the wrong layer. Let's bring that down to artwork. There we go. There we go. Oh my gosh. Okay, all sorted now. And we'll make a new layer here, and we'll call this spot gloss. Spot gloss. And then I'm just going to paste this literally in front. In this case, I want the spot gloss, since it's like a high gloss clear coat, to go over top of the ink that I'm already printing on. So I'm not actually going to punch it out in this case, although you could expand these lines and kind of use Pathfinder Shape Builder to cut those out. In this case, I want it to go just over top, right over top. So I'm just going to paste that on my spot gloss layer, and I'll bring up my transparency again. I can make a new color here. We'll do this one 100% magenta this time, and hit OK. And now I'll just make a new spot color and call this spot gloss. All right. And this is not going to print. This is a placeholder. The printer is going to strip this out and swap it on press for the correct ink. So if that makes sense. I'll show you how that's going to look. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go Save As. And when you're doing stuff like this, you really want to use PDFs or Illustrator files, because a flattened JPEG is not going to cut it. The printer's not going to be able to know what inks you used or what to do with that file. So you won't be able to like remove that magenta. It'll be flattened into the file if you save a JPEG. So PDF's the way to go. I'm just going to save this out, and I'm just going to save page 4, since I only want to look at this page. And this is fine. I can just do high quality print. I'm not going to turn on any marks or bleeds, because I kind of set them up for myself here. It's going to save it out, and then I'm going to open this up in Acrobat. Come on. Okay, looks like something weird happened there, but I have one from earlier. We'll just open this one. Okay, there we go. So this is what our sticker design looks like, right? And you're like, but I can still see the black. Oh no, everything's broken. If you go in Acrobat, if you go under View More, you've got this like Tools panel over here under All Tools. and you look at your tools, you can actually scroll down and there's a use print production section in your Acrobat tools. We don't have time to go through all of these today. You can really, there's a lot of things in here to help you kind of like pre-flight your files for print. But we're going to take a look at ink managers. And when I open that up, you can actually see I've got my 4 colors, CMYK. So that would be a 4-color job. And then we've made this a 6-color job actually by adding a spot gloss and a cut line. Or actually it would be a 5-color job with the cut line. So we could actually see our spot colors. So the printer can actually see this. So that's kind of the benefit to using the spot colors. And this is how they're kind of able to swap out those things on press. Now, of course, you always want to double check with the printer to make sure you follow their naming convention for these, as they're not always going to be the same exact color or names. But generally speaking, this is the process I've used for across all the printers I've worked with. I've done for doing, like I said, deboss and emboss, metallics, etc. So yeah. Thank you for joining me. We went over a lot today using the offset path, spot colors. We went over some print best practices. This was really just an overview and particularly geared towards die cut stickers. If you're interested in print, you can really do a deep dive and talk to printers and learn more about the process. They're always happy to share with you. But stay right here. We've got more amazing live streams on Adobe Live up next after me, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.